to the ashes. The spirits light up the night, looking down the edge of forever. So stop me or take my advice.
Now, from the Untold Radio Network, it's Untold Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Whoa.
Hey.
Hey. Happy 4th of July late.
Yeah.
I didn't see you all weekend.
Happy 4th.
What did you do?
Just went to the lake.
Boating?
Yeah, a little bit. Weather kind of turned foul pretty
Oh,
quickly.
did it?
Yeah.
Did you notice how it cleared up for the 4th, though? Completely.
Yeah.
It was like for the evening. It's always nice on the 4th of July.
Why is that?
Because it's been a 60X amount of record for me. I remember every 4th, it's been beautiful. For the fireworks.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the fireworks god at work. Thank you, Jennifer Arnold.
Yeah, thank you. It's going well.
Anyhow, so were you on a big boat?
Yeah, it was a pontoon.
Oh, pontoon.
Yeah, huge pontoon.
Oh, huge. Like how big?
Several feet. I don't know. I don't know if it was a little one. It was a little baby.
Oh, God.
You seem smiley today.
You're funny. Oh, yeah, I am. It's a beautiful day. It's
Yeah.
really beautiful today.
You get outside at all?
Like 70. No, of course not.
Of course not.
I'm working all day. But I get to look out the window. I got to check for Amazon packages.
Oh, that's always fun.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we have a friend of mine on tonight, Jeremiah Byron from Bigfoot Society. And you've now met Jeremiah, I believe, correct? Yes.
Yeah, sharp guy.
I would say he's the nicest guy in podcasting. Yeah?
Yeah.
You're just like, Anyhow, so what else we got here? So last year, because of the fireworks, right, I'm getting worse. Have you noticed they're getting worse every year, like the amount of fireworks people are blowing off?
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you-
Yeah. It just
Even though they're
grows and
like-
grows.
They're like $20 a shell. I'm just making that up because I don't really know, but they got to be at least
Insane.
$10-20 a shell, wouldn't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. Easily that.
I mean, it was just insane last night. It was just, I mean, these were not the little bottle rockets. These were these big, giant shells, you know. that
Oh yeah.
shake your house.
Massive.
All night long it was going. And then, of course, I went to the fireworks, right? And, of course, I parked in the one spot. There was a tree
Oh, of
right in
course.
front of me. And you're just like, God, I hate to turn my lights on and move, you know, do a Blaine. You know, Blaine. Have you ever gone to the fireworks with Blaine, your brother?
What does he do?
Takes him an hour to find the perfect seat.
Yes. Yes.
He just keeps switching. Watched one time switch rocks. Like we were at a lake one time,
Yeah.
and he switched rocks like 20 times. So we were just laughing at him.
He likes things
I
perfect.
but I didn't want to do that last night. So I just sat there with a big tree in front of me like a dork.
And you can see him out of your car.
Yeah. But anyhow, last year I was reading, you know, the stats because I'm thinking, God, please don't anybody get hurt in my neighborhood, you know, because they've had some really big problems. You know, they've had, I guess there was a number of people that were hurt this year in a big explosion. But, okay, so here's some stats. And I love fireworks, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm trying to encourage safety. So yesterday I read 120 people were hospitalized with firework injuries from last July, right? That's just in Illinois.
Just in Illinois.
That's one state.
Oh my gosh.
So take that and, you know, times whatever ratio you want to do. That's a lot of people. So, but here's some headlines from 2022. Man looks into fireworks tube before it explodes in his face. Illinois cops say.
Oh no.
Who does that? Don't do that.
Don't look at it.
You light a firework, it doesn't go off. Stay away. Another one, a 19-year-old was killed instantly by fireworks mortars, those shells.
Oh yeah.
July 4th, it's like, ugh, bad way to go. Man lights fireworks on his head and it explodes into his skull, Texas cops say.
He lit it up on his head.
Yeah, I mean, who does that?
He thought it was being funny.
Every year they have like x-rays you can Google from the fireworks injuries. It's pretty insane. I remember one time when I was really young, I was like in the 70s, and I was at a racetrack, and I was over the 4th weekend up at Brainerd International Speedway. It's like 1970, everything's cool. We're in a great campground. And this little, God, he must have been maybe 8. Somebody sent him over to a campfire to light a fireworks. I think it was a cherry bomb. So he runs over to the campfire, lights it, and he runs back to the campsite yelling, "It's lit, I got it lit, I got it lit." And he's running with this. And of course, you know what happens. Yeah. Ever since then, I've been very cautious.
Yeah.
From what I witnessed.
You have to be.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else? And then from this year, fireworks explosion kills 1, injures 9 others in Michigan. So there were 10,000 injuries that required ER visits last year. I'll bet you they're going to be way up this year. The thing is that, before people not that many states would allow the big mortar shells. Now the cops kind of look the other way. They don't care.
They don't care anymore.
I mean, you can see these things going off from 20 miles away, and they just, it's out of control. Whatever. Once again, I do love fireworks. I just don't want anybody hurt. So, enough of that crap. Little LMS update.
Legend meets science.
Yep. So we, on one part of this show, we deployed working with the Minnesota Bigfoot research team, as you know. I think we talked about it last time. But we deployed, 5. All 5 were taken. Many miles apart, blah, blah, blah. They were all just taken, bolted to trees. Screws, leg screws, ripped right out of the trees.
Wow.
It really is insane if you think about it. So then, of course, Dougie's getting tricky. So I buy a number of GPS trackers.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, super cool, right? Real-time tracking. Just about real-time. If you want to save batteries, you got to limit your updates.
If it's low power.
And, of course, put the little tracker in the corner. Glue it on with crazy glue. They deploy it. Abe and Jason deploy it in a really cool area. I know because I get to see the satellite image of it. Hasn't been touched.
Of course.
I'm staring at this image going, no!
Take it.
I've been, once again, because you don't want them taken. Just want the fingerprints on them because that's the whole idea, to collect the sebum that collects the DNA. Then you can collect the actual chemical compounds of what's in the skin oil, blah, blah, blah. 5 go missing, no GPS trackers. Put one on, doesn't touch.
They're not interested.
Same area. I just. So if anybody's got any opinion on that, is it just coincidence? I mean, this has been going on in my life for, 35 years, these coincidences.
Well, don't a lot of people say that they can detect electronics?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's electronic, but it only pings every so often. It doesn't ping every second.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so what else? So anyhow, it's just a waiting game. That's one aspect. On the 11th, we're going to be filming another electric bike scene on July 11th coming up. And the rest of it, I can't talk about.
Top secret.
Yeah, I guess.
It's top secret.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it is.
You'll have to watch the film.
Yeah, top secret. So, and you'll throw a link up for the new Legend Meet Science support. If you still want to get in on the credits, still want to get rewards, you can still do that. Heck, you can even get a research bike. But yeah, so throw that up in chat, and then maybe you can put it in the show description too, Alex.
Sure.
That would be awesome. Okay, so let's move on. Video 1. I have a little video that I want to put up because it was something that I witnessed, Yvette witnessed. It was literally the same thing was swarming very low all over my house. So video 1, the sound I think is fine. So you can even put the sound up. Video 1. This is really cool. And I just, people can say, well, this is fake or it's the thing. I've witnessed this within 50 feet. And then I saw it fly away too. And it looked like this, as it moved away. So go ahead and play it, Alex. So what we're looking at is this cloud right in the middle. Looks like a little cloud. Looks kind of normal, but you'll notice it's kind of moving. He's going to zoom in on it. And as you look at it and really look close, you can say, well, maybe it's a big cloud of white birds, because it is definitely acting like what do they call it? A notion of birds.
Yeah, it looks so very organic.
But he's describing it being it's sparkling, which the ones we saw were sparkling.
It's almost like, it reminds me of like a jellyfish.
Yeah, but now watch this. And so what I believe it is, because I've seen it up close, it is composed of a ton of small orbs. Very small orbs.
That thing is cruising.
Because what we saw, none of them had wings. But as a group, you could say, well, it looked like a flock of birds. Or you could say it was a cloud. Somebody just glancing at the sky, Alex, would just think it was a cloud.
Yep. Yeah, without looking at it.
But when you see it from 50 feet away, swarming over the top of your home and your trees, on the ground, it was everywhere. So I just found it interesting.
Yeah.
So just want to get everybody the tingles before we get going? The pre-tingles. The pre-tingles?
The pre-tingles.
Yeah. You look focused. Okay. So the next thing I was just going to mention is they finally got that MSG sphere. I've been hearing about this forever. This giant sphere up in Vegas. And it is many, many, many. It's probably 40, 50, 60 stories tall. It's just a big round dome. And then they're going to do, eventually, I think in 3 months, they're going to have concerts inside.
Whoa.
But on the outside, okay, just hang on a second. So the outside consists of literally these like hockey puck size LED pucks that emit light. So they can broadcast all these shapes and, really, from far away, it looks really amazing. It's 366 feet tall, 516 feet wide. It's being built as the world's largest spherical structure. It's a bowl-shaped theater, reportedly contains the world's highest resolution wrapping around LED screen. And how they did it was just glue these pucks, individual, like you could imagine individual drones glued on the outside. So do you have video too? You can just play. You can just skip around even. So this is what it looks like from afar. Now, you know how big that Ferris wheel is? Or you can see how big it is in relationship to like some of the hotels. It's massive. But I guess some of the views, like when they put the planets on, it's just amazing. Yeah, magical.
Cool.
I like stuff like this,
Wow.
I mean, a lot of people are going to go to Vegas just to see this.
Oh,
No doubt. Isn't that cool? So skip around. Okay, here on the 4th of July. Go back to that one. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
You can just keep jumping around.
So they can play anything they want.
Keep jumping. Go a quarter inch ahead. Yeah. Oh yeah, anything.
That's so huge.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Obviously, up close, it's not going to look so high res, but from far away, it's quite an illusion. It's very alien looking.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It looks gonna look alien. Oh. We've seen that.
I like the planets. It's so cool. And we'll be able to run an Untold Radio ad on the sphere.
Oh,
Not-
cool.
not-
Cool. Come on, let's
You
do
will
it.
be able, you will be able to buy ads.
You will be able to.
Yeah, there will be selling ads. I would imagine they're going to be $1 million a piece. That's my guess.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to miss.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's just cool. Moving on. Did I ever send you the photos of the blue boards that we put up in the tree? I don't think I did.
I don't think I have any.
Let me text you when you can throw it up, because I think people get a kick out of seeing this. Bad me, I didn't think about doing that earlier, but I will send it to you. Of course, I'll be as slow as I possibly can about it. Right, I have to find it first. There we go. Okay, I'm going to send this copy. And I'm going to send... Is it okay in Messenger?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay. I just got to type in donuts, and then your name comes up. What the heck? Done. What am I going to do? Oh, I know what I got to do.
And these were pictures of you setting them up.
This is a picture Abe took of one that's up. There you go. And you can see the size of the bolts.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
You see it? Can you throw that
Yeah.
up on the screen for everybody?
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to duplicate this, please do.
I got it. So
There we
here's
go.
what we're looking at it.
Yeah, of course, Abe took the world's crookedest picture. Abe, next time take straight pictures. But there's the tree. It's a straight tree. This one looks like it's on a spruce, but it's in that same area where the first one was taken.
And they're into this stuff. They're attracted.
Yeah, but there you
to
can
it.
see the ladder that's still there to get it up.
Yeah.
And you pull the ladder away and haul the ladder out of the forest and put it on an ATV, and then.
And you said these were about what 15 feet up?
This one, no, 10. They've all been
10,
about 10.
10,
Yeah,
10 feet.
Yeah, this one's at 10 foot 2 inches.
Is it the idea that they'd be able to reach them by?
The idea is to be able to see them
Yeah.
and then be curious and touch them. It's going to rule out other, humans and
Yeah.
all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Anyhow, it's enough of that. But you see how but you can imagine what that would take to rip that off a tree?
Oh, I know.
The forest?
It would not.
Ooh, it's scary. But speaking of trees and wood, we've got some 3 trillion trees on the planet. I actually thought it would be more than that. We have 3 trillion trees on the whole planet, right? And these trees, of course, keep us alive. Blah, blah, blah. So I thought, let's talk about trees and get into some weird facts on wood and trees, right? We're also used to wood. We ignore it.
Yep.
We don't
It's
think
just
anything of
take it for granted.
Yeah, when you drive to work, you see tons of trees, and you just don't think about trees, right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to break the golden rule. I'm going to drink a carbonated drink on the air. You know why that's the golden rule?
Why?
You don't
what
ever
happened?
do it? Because you will burp.
If you hear anyone burping, it's not me.
It's me. Yeah, I'll try not to. Could happen. Root beer is kind of burpy.
Yeah.
I was just craving one. Anyhow, okay. So did you know wood is made up of a combination of living and dying cells?
I didn't know it was both.
So in your house, there's still living cells in your home.
It's weird to think about it like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But they're dying. They're living, but they're dying. Okay, the world's shortest tree is the dwarf willow, which lives in the northerly and Arctic tundra regions. It's called the dwarf willow.
How tall
It
is
rarely, listen to this, it rarely grows more than a couple of inches high.
it? Wow, that is short.
Isn't that cute? Wow. That'd be so cool. So what do you think the tallest tree is? Or the tallest trees, what do you think they kind of average?
100 feet.
100 feet? 320 feet.
Wow.
And that includes the redwood giants and the sequoias and all that. Okay. The world's tallest living hardwood tree is a mountain ash that is in Tasmania. It's 329 feet tall.
That is massive.
Plus 8 inches and 3/4. Trees never die of old age, ever. They don't. They live forever, basically. But it's insects, diseases, and people that kill trees, and lightning, and forest fires. But if you just leave a tree alone, give it water and sun, it'll never die.
It'll live forever.
It'll live forever, yep. There are trees in Minnesota up in the BWCA, they say, are 3,000 to 4,000 years old.
That's incredible.
And they're cedar trees. And the reason those trees live long because insects don't like cedar wood. Plus, it's not subject to rotting. That's why people will build decks out of cedar wood. Right?
It'll last.
Yeah. The giant sequoia is thought by many to be the biggest living organism in the world. Although a 2,400-acre fungus of mycelium in eastern Oregon, it says it's almost 10 square miles of it is a strong, if less visible, contender. So it may be not the tree, it may be the fungus under the tree. That's the biggest organism.
Wow. The fungus.
Yeah. So, yeah, they think that's the internet of the soil. That's how trees communicate with each other. So, how many different species of trees do you think there are in the world? Gut instinct. Species.
Yep. 678.
Not a bad guess. 23,000.
Oh, it was only, 20,000 shy.
That's actually the most common guess that I get when I ask people that question. About 600.
600, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. You said the same damn thing. The term softwood and hardwood describes the leaves, seeds, and structure of the trees rather than the type of wood they produce. Redwood bark can be as much as 2 feet thick.
2 feet.
And by the way, everybody, I have 62 of these things I wrote up. So you can just cut me off. Just say uncle and I'll quit. So if I see any uncles in there, I'll quit. Okay. Let's see here. The Amazon basin is the biggest area of tropical forest on Earth, spanning a whopping 8.5 million acres. One tree can absorb 48 pounds of carbon dioxide a year. Pounds. You know how much gas it takes to make a pound? It takes a lot of gas.
A ton of gas.
Yeah, a ton of gas. And it's balsa is thought to be the softest tree, which is actually hardwood. We've all used like those balsa airplanes, right? That real soft wood.
Yeah, it's almost
that's a hardwood. It's considered a hardwood.
Oh, really? That is hardwood.
Yeah, it's a hardwood. Yeah. I probably have bought a million of it with my 6 kids. I'm sure I've bought hundreds of those things. White oak is the easiest wood to bend using steam.
White oak.
Yep. Osage orange tree's wood generates the most heat when burned. The tree with the widest diameter trunk is the African baobab tree. Just under 50 feet across with a 155-foot circumference. The baobab tree.
The baobab.
Yeah. You should plant one of those in your yard. You can eat some baobabs. They look like big sausages, as I remember, hanging.
Sausages?
Yeah, that's what they look like. Oh my God. Okay. What else we got? I'm skipping over a lot of these, so don't freak out anybody. British oak trees live for 500 years, and it says we'd have a lot more of them if Henry VIII hadn't cut almost all of them down to build warships.
Needed those warships.
Yeah. The world's heaviest wood is Australian Bauhinia. I don't know how to pronounce it. Bauhinia red. It's the heaviest wood. And did you know that not all wood floats, Alex?
I didn't know that. I thought
There's
it all
wood
floated.
that sinks. And we'll get into that.
I'm assuming it's that wood.
Has anybody yelled uncle yet? Trees trap 50% of all the sun's energy caught by living organisms. So, if all the living organisms on Earth, trees can grab 50% of it. All wood is biodegradable. Wet wood can conduct electricity. Keep that in mind. Softwoods account for 80% of the world's timber production. That's what they make toilet paper out of. Pine trees. And they'll never stop logging either, Alex. This I do know, as long as we all need toilet paper.
Yeah, I mean,
Logging will continue.
it's a necessity.
Yeah. Unless they can start growing artificial TP, it's probably going to happen. Yeah. Oh, God. Jack Pine Bob told me that himself. He said they'll never stop logging as long as people need toilet paper. Okay. Trees get 90% of their nutrition from the atmosphere. Now, that's surprising. And only 10% from the soil.
Only 10%.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That is interesting. Trees grow from the top, not the bottom. People think they grow up from the bottom. So what's beautiful with like Bigfoot research, if there was a tree in the background, you can go back there 20 years later, that branch will never go up. Ever. Won't ever move.
Because it grows from the top.
Grows from the top up. Yep. Keep that in mind. Oh my God, here come the burps from the damn rip here. God, I hope I don't let one slip out. I'll never hear the end of it. Insects hate the taste of tannin. That's the tea-colored chemical trees contain in various amounts. Have you ever gone, like when I go to Canada, most of the lakes are tea-colored from the tannin.
It's from the tannin.
You go up there sometimes with newbies and they go, "Oh, the water's so dirty." I'm like, "No, that water's pure. You can drink it. It's pure. It's just stained."
It's stained from the tannin.
Yeah. Don't you remember Guardian Eagle? Remember all the water was kind of a ripped brown?
Yeah.
Let's see here. In the USA, the shade and windproofing that a tree delivers reduces annual heating and cooling costs by $2.1 billion in the US. We didn't have trees. I have a feeling it'd be a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can keep going. Anybody yell uncle yet?
Well, we got Jeremiah in the back room. I know you got a bunch of clips.
Yeah, well, let's get to those.
Let's go to the clips.
We'll get to those. Me and Jeremiah can talk about trees.
All right, perfect.
Okay, clip one. The sound is good. It's very good. This is just a weird light under the ocean. And I've had this described to me many times by people seeing this. Could be that phytoplankton that glows. but generally that's got to be disturbed. So it's still possible. We'll go ahead and play the clip. Seems pretty bright. Phytoplankton. But
Y una boya allí.
see that flash?
Yeah, it's super bright.
It seems a little bright, but and it isn't that dark outside. So
No,
I'm
it's
going to
not.
kind of rule out phytoplankton on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's as
And
bright
I've
as
seen
an
that.
LED.
I've seen, like when I was in the Sea of Cortez on that squid expedition, there was dolphins that were shooting up at the bow. This was actually my first squid expedition, and the phytoplankton was glowing.
Y alumbra de momento, ¿verdad?
Anyhow, it's enough of that crap. Clip 2. This is cool. Once again, I believe this one is real. May not be, but I believe it is. And sound is good. Clip 2. I saw something similar to that on Garbage Unit one night.
No identificado.
Yvette saw it too. Isn't that cool? All right, that's enough. Clip 3, no sound. This is interesting because this is obviously real. I just don't know, is it a recovered craft or is it just something else, the roof of a silo? Just look at this object inside this hangar. Just an open hangar.
What?
What do you think?
Yeah, it looks strange.
Oh, and this is supposed to be the test flight of it,
Okay.
of that object. See, that looked fakey as crap.
Yeah. That looked fake. The other stuff looked interesting.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I don't think that the other film, I don't think that film is fake. But there's so many things that we use in construction and building skyscrapers and, even farms. Is it something like that? Why would it be out in the open like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yep. So, clip 4 is really weird. Sound is good. Now, you can think about this all you want. And I'll tell you, I studied this and I can't find any giveaways that this is fake or it's a balloon or anything like that. It is a bird frozen in midair. Let's look at this. Looks like a damn glitch in the Matrix.
That's freaking weird, man. Yeah, there's someone else taking a picture.
Even the audio checks out. It's like a raven or a crow.
Yeah, I don't see any,
What in the hell is that?
I don't see anything,
So bizarre.
Anybody else have any ideas on this one? Freeze it right there.
What if it just dropped all of a sudden? Wouldn't that be
In the
freaky?
middle.
Okay, well, let's go. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's not CG. It could be suspended on some other kind of fishing line, or it could be a prank somebody's playing. But I'm telling you, the footage is real. It could just be a dead bird. But what's interesting is all the reports of other people reporting this phenomena, including planes that are frozen in midair.
Was this plane's frozen?
Me and Uncle Joe saw one driving down to southern Minnesota this year. You can ask Joe about it. And it was frozen. It was not moving. It was not coming at us. It was from the side. It did not move. It was just frozen. I don't understand it. We slowed down. We watched it for a long time. I don't know. Glitch.
Yeah, I mean, what
Some
could it
kind of
be?
glitch? Time glitch? Clip 5. I just thought it was a cool as heck looking bird. It's like a parrot from Mars. Sound is good.
Yeah, hi. Can I have a kiss? Thank you.
Look at his tongue even matches his head. Play that one more time. How does that work? Why would your tongue match your head?
Yeah, hi.
It's even got the black
Can I
tip
kiss?
and everything.
Yeah.
God, it's just like a Star Wars bird.
It does. It doesn't look.
Parrot. Anyhow, I have no idea what kind of parrot it is or was. I can't find it. Okay. Clip 6. Let's see here. Clip 6. Sound is good. This would only happen in Kruger National Park in Africa.
What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, they're just talking to it, going, nice elephant, nice elephant. I mean, what are you going to do? Obviously, he's done this before, and he's behaved. He opened the door. All the reasons I have not gone to Africa yet.
That's funny.
I'd get myself in all sorts of trouble. All right, clip 7. Sound is fine. This is just a weird clip. That's why I put it up. It's this modernistic guy walking 2 drones. And I don't know if this is staged or he is just doing this for attention or he's just a nut trying to freak people out. And he's yelling some gibberish. God knows. It's interesting. It's probably some scene you'd see in New York or somewhere, right?
I like the outfit.
Yeah. You should get one like that.
Yeah, it start trending.
Clip 8 is just a very strange fish. I don't know if the sound is good. I wouldn't play it. It's a reef frogfish. It's just weird. Frogfish. I just love frogfish because they're so bizarre.
Yeah, another Star Wars creature.
Yeah, it's like, nature is so amazing to me. Why?
You never see this stuff.
No, why? Why? Clip 8A, sound is fine as another frogfish. So relative to this one, if you have clip 8A, sound is good. But this is the hairy frogfish. And I had deja vu when I picked this out like I'd already played this. We didn't play this.
Oh, no.
She thinks her fish is pissed at her because she cleaned his tank. Look at this creature, though.
Is gone.
He looks pissed.
God, okay, enough of that crap. Clip 9, no sound. It's just an incredible all-white fancy-tailed goldfish, but you got to see this thing. It's just, what a creature.
Oh, yeah, incredible.
They breed these things with so many mutations. Basically, it's the common carp.
All it is.
Last clip, clip 10. Now, this I think most people will find shocking, unless they have a medical degree. Clip 10, you don't need to put sound on it. I'll narrate it. So the guy's going to just take live, fresh blood, put it under the microscope. We've all done this. But what he's trying to film are the white blood cells. So here's where it gets interesting. The red cells just kind of float around. They just float. But the white cells are like little creatures. Look at that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's like a creature, correct?
It is, yeah.
It has a consciousness. It is out hunting and looking for things to destroy. So it's swimming. It's kind of like sperm, it has a tail and it swims.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird and creepy too. But those white blood cells seem to actually be on the hunt. So that's it.
They do.
That's all I got. That's all I got in the clips. And I would imagine Jeremiah Byron is standing by. So let me introduce him here. So Jeremiah Byron, he's our guest tonight. And I just think he's like one of the nicest people around. He's got a very successful podcast. I think he's surpassed 100,000 subscribers on one of the formats.
Impressive.
I don't think that's on YouTube, but on like, what do you call it? Spotify or some of the regular podcast things. But he's growing really quick. And his show is really good. He has a lot of witnesses, focuses on that. He's from Iowa. And God knows what else he does. We're going to find out. I don't want to give it away, but let's get Jeremiah on.
Okay. So we're going to go to a quick break. And
okay. Yep.
We'll have him right on.
This Week in Bigfoot, the only news show that scours the internet and the Bigfoot community to bring you the fastest half hour in the cryptid world. From researcher news,
honestly, I was surprised to see Ketchum still around,
to sighting reports and evidence claims.
We know nothing about its backstory. This footage would be very easy to hoax.
To the latest podcasts and Bigfoot live streams.
That's Bigfoot evidence.
Earlier in the podcast, I mentioned Bigfoot.
These things are clocking the mayor.
It has to do with Sasquatch and Bigfoot in the wild, man.
Looks pretty sciencey to me.
And it's making headlines. MK Davis recently released his latest improvement right here. It seems to reason that one would get caught on a camera on This Week in Bigfoot. Coming up on this Friday's show, Bigfoot Research Pay to Play. We'll take a look at how some groups may be more interested in turning a profit than actually finding Bigfoot. Mike Lucci's got a pair of videos for us to take a look at, along with the latest from Outcast Paranormal. Snowwalker takes on Thinker Thunker in a brand new 2 Minutes With, and the Freeman Bigfoot Files gets read and reviewed. These stories and a whole lot more on the next This Week in Bigfoot, this Friday night at 8, only on CARC Universal. Be there.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our shows, knowledgeable hosts, and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
Hey Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
There he is.
Hello.
Hey, Doug and Alex.
All the way from Iowa, correct?
Oh yeah.
And I'm
yeah.
from
Just
Minnesota.
west of Des Moines. Yep.
Why don't you just drive up here, Byron? Or Jeremiah? Why don't you
I got to
drive
get a
up?
better car, Doug.
That's it. That's all you need is a better car. I'll drive down to see you then.
Yeah.
There's no reason we don't hook up and just kind of.
I know, right? That we should totally just hang out and do some crazy Bigfoot stuff. Why not,
yes.
man?
How many more subscribers do you need to make this happen?
A lot.
Guys, give him a lot right now.
Jeremiah needs a new car.
No, but we're getting there. Looking at a Subaru Forester, I think that would be a pretty cool car. So
very cool.
We're checking that out. But dude, I'm so pumped to be on this stream with you guys. You guys are tons of fun. I love all the videos you guys play and the wood facts, dude. So good.
Yeah, I just thought, it's gonna bore people to death, but whatever. No one yelled uncle, I don't think. I had 60, I had another 30 I didn't even read. You gotta overdo it. So how long have you been podcasting, Jeremiah?
So Doug, I started this February of 2019. I can tell you the story if you want. It's kind of has a little story with it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's tell the story. So I got invited by my friend Andrew to be a part of the Small Town Monsters filming of Terror in the Skies back in the day.
Okay.
And he was filming some interviews, including Chad Lewis about, cryptids, flying cryptids. And he had me be the guy off camera that was like, I didn't know this going into it. He's like, just come up with some questions off the top of your head and see if you can get the guys to talk. Yeah, I had never done that before. And halfway through it, I was like, man, I love this. This is like the most fun thing I've ever done. And I was like, I should do more of this. So that's kind of how Bigfoot Society really got going. And yeah, it's almost up to getting close to 5 years now. So.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you guys mainly do, you do witnesses. Mainly, correct?
So it has been kind of a journey along the way. So if there's older Bigfoot Society listeners, they may know what we did or what I did back in the day was I would talk to anyone to do with cryptozoology, like all over the place, right? And then over the last few months, I was just like, what? I got the name. I got Bigfoot Society. Why don't I just like really hyper-focus down and make this like an amazing Bigfoot podcast? Because the more like, I went out with Tate Hieronymus last year and we went on an Iowa expedition and I was like, man, I'm really getting into this Bigfoot thing. This is a lot of fun. And then, I just get all these like witnesses hitting me up in like Facebook and stuff like that. And I was like, I bet I could talk to some of these guys. And it's fascinating. And it's really changed where Bigfoot Society is going. And, my goal to do with the podcast is I found that these witnesses haven't talked about what they've experienced. They just, give them a platform to share what's on get it off their chest. And like, so many of these guys, after we finish talking, they're like, thank you. I can go to bed. Like, I can actually sleep. I haven't slept for the last 20 years. So it's like to give a platform that has respect and it's a safe platform for them to be able to share, encourage others to be able to share, and also connect dots in their own research. I've had a lot of people say, hey, that last witness, that totally like opened my eyes to what was going on at my place. So it's Bigfoot Society has really changed into a different animal over the years, but it's definitely a Bigfoot focused. Lots of witness encounters, and I also I have a few researchers in there as well. There's some I really some cool ones that have also had encounters, and it gets very interesting. So
you know how we have like 10,000 documented written documented sightings now between John Green's work, the BFRO, and some other organizations. And we know that because they've been now entered into GIS information. But how many have the podcasters documented? See, it's just as valid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as archived. It can be listened to. One of the questions I think we should all ask as podcasters, have you reported this in writing too? So in the future, when new people, because there's people like Scott Tompkins that are putting every sighting in a GIS area. It would give a lot of people new information. We don't have a ton of witnesses on Untold, but we obviously we talk about the topic a lot. Yeah. But really, you're doing a service to science if you really think about it, because it's a valid documentation.
It is really interesting to think about like how far reaching it could go, because you have, shows like Bigfoot Society or Sasquatch Chronicles or, Sasquatch Odyssey with Brian King Sharp.
Yep.
And it's like, especially on YouTube, you can have those things up forever. And like hopefully, yeah, fingers crossed. But, this could help definitely future generations down the road, long after we're all here, unless science improves to the, we're like heads in a jar like Futurama. But, you never know, right?
I can only hope.
But I enjoy thinking I'm helping out people, at least get it off their chest, but also maybe help out some researchers and future researchers.
It's a double whammy, Jeremiah, because you are helping the witnesses, the homeowners, but you're also helping future people that haven't even had an encounter yet. You're helping generations way into the future because, for all we know, they might go like, all the podcast platforms could go, oh, okay, you guys are all grandfathered in. These are all grandfathered in, but you cannot produce any more, sightings. Any new sightings cannot ever be entered. I mean, we're living in kind of weird times.
It really is, Doug. And, you never know what certain platforms will not allow you to speak about, and we'll kind of leave that there because I don't want to trigger anything by accident. But it's like, it's not our playing field. We don't control it, but we just hope that we can make content that makes them happy so we can stay around for a while. But But,
I mean, really, if you think about it, I mean, what difference is this than a Wolverine sighting? Cougar? I mean, it's really no difference. And I hope to God that the platforms look at it that way. It's just undocumented,
Well, wouldn't it be cool, like in the future, let's say 200-300 years, they look back on this and they see all these, like, they're talking about Bigfoot, like it's some weird thing. And like, we've got those, like, in the zoo or like in the nature preserve down the street. It's like, hopefully it gets to that point someday where it gets discovered, like the mountain gorillas, back in the day. And we'll see.
I want to take my children to them when they're in the zoo.
That would be cool.
Or you'll be in the zoo and they'll be free.
Whoa, nice twist, Doug.
Well, that went dark. Someone's been watching Black Mirror.
Yeah. We might be the ones in the zoo.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my God. So what is, okay. So you get done with a really good witness.
Yeah.
Do you stay in contact with them? Do you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me.
Because Doug, it usually doesn't stop after we talk. There's a few people there's a few guys. I literally, they check in with me like every day or so, and they're like, "Hey, things are good now. We're good now." Because some of these. So here's the thing. All of us, we're like, oh, it would be great to have a Bigfoot on my property. Wouldn't it be so much fun? But there's some of these guys who are like, I can literally not go to sleep at night because my house is just getting hit so hard that stuff is falling off of the inside of the house. Yeah. I just want them to go away. They're almost taking my dog out down in Tennessee. This one gentleman, Mark, and thankfully he's got some respite right now, but he's like, man, I just pray they don't come back. He's like, you guys are crazy that you want to find these
an encounter.
Things, So it's like, it's a really interesting way to think about it, So.
Yeah. And I find the homeowners in many cases don't want you to do research on their property.
No.
Because they're like, hey, I have to live here.
Mm-hmm.
If you upset this thing, you get to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great point. They're like, I just want to do my job, come home, have a nice supper, and not have to worry about getting screamed at 2 a.m. in the morning. This one guy, Mark, stuff got so wild. Like they were screamed at 2 a.m. He goes outside. His neighbors got so freaked out. He saw him he didn't see it because it was dark, but they jumped in their car. They never came back. They were just like, I'm out of here for all time. Like they just left all their stuff in the house. It's just this wild part of Tennessee that he's pretty much like, come on. He's like, he wants people to come on down and check. He's like, people won't do it, But he's like, yeah, check it out if you want, but they won't do it. So,
one of the first questions I asked homeowners that suddenly have Bigfoot activity is, have they started logging across the river, or have they started doing anything? Is this a brand new house you just built, or is there new housing going in down the road, or, just what's, what changes have happened. And usually, I think in almost 90% of the cases, I hear about logging that started, or, they're putting a new neighborhood in.
That is a really good question. I'm going to have to remember that one, Doug. That's a really good question to ask.
Yeah. Because, there's reasons for this. And if I keep meeting people that have like hunting shacks,
okay,
and all of a sudden everything will be great for 20 years. Then all of a sudden, bam, their house is getting pelleted by rocks, slammed in the middle of the night. And they are just freaked out. They want answers, but they want it to go away. They do not want this, whatever it is, around. They talk about leaving the generator running all night, or, leaving the VCR running off the generator, playing Disney movies to keep them company because they're afraid, and I don't blame them one bit.
A lot of witnesses, it's like they will end up falling asleep in a chair, just staring at the window holding appropriate items that would help them, we'll say, but just staring at the window because they know it's out there because of what they just experienced, and just hoping they can get through to daylight.
Yeah.
It's the craziest stuff, man, when you really start talking to people.
So what's the weirdest story you ever heard?
Yeah, there's a few of them, Doug.
Do you have one in mind? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah. No, don't worry, I'm prepared. I'm good. So one I can think of right off the bat is there's this gentleman that hit me up on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to share with you something weird that happened to me back in the day." He used to own a cabin in very remote Maine. And this is up by the Canadian border. So it's way up there, way out in the woods. Takes a long time on a logging road to get there, all that jazz, right? So he owned a remote 50-acre area in northern Maine, and they had a trailer on it. So they are, he's down by the stream. He's washing his dishes because it's that remote. They don't have everything set up like you would at your house. But he's washing the dishes, hears something, looks up, and then all of a sudden he sees like this hairy bipedal creature just run across, and he's like, "What's going on here?" Then a few nights later, they're in their trailer and they started seeing stuff left around the property, sticks, logs, weird stuff like that. But the crazy thing is that the trailer was up on blocks, right? That's how they had it set up. Something started hitting the side of the trailer so crazy, it knocked it off the blocks. At this point, the guy is like, "I don't know what's going on." And it got so crazy that he walks outside his trailer one day, looks down. There is just a bear head right there.
A bear head.
Just a bear head. I don't know. But no body, just the head, fresh. Right there.
Decapitated.
Yeah, decapitated. And he's like, "We got to get out of here now."
Oh, my goodness.
And so he sold the property, and he was like, "I moved to South Carolina as quick as I could," because there was something going on that property. I was like, "Oh, man." Because part of me is like, "Yeah, you don't have the property." And he's like, "No, I don't have the property anymore, dude." I'm out of there. This dude is pushing my trailer off blocks and taking the head off a bear. Something is.
Gosh.
And they actually saw a hairy bipedal creature run, by the stream when they're washing their dishes. So they actually had a face-to-face Class A, right? And it's like, man, that was the weirdest one. That when I was talking to him, I was just like, it was weird, man. I talk about that in I have an episode where it's like anonymous Bigfoot encounters, because I do have a place on my website where people can submit an encounter and semi, like they can put as much info as they want, right?
Kind of a pre-screen, I guess.
And some people, I did an anonymous Bigfoot encounter episode because some people just don't want to be, they don't want their name, they don't want to lose their job. For example, there's another one where there's a gentleman that I started chatting to on TikTok, and he had pictures of himself from this time period to back it up and everything. He's like, hey, I was a firefighter in the Mount St. Helens area right after the blast. And he was like, I'm just going to tell you, I've been seeing your videos on TikTok. And so it's weird. TikTok is like, people on TikTok don't know about any other Bigfoot stuff. So like when they see Bigfoot stuff, they're like, whoa, what is this? Like, this is brand new to me. So, and it's not just little kids, like teeny boppers. It's like 50, 60-year-old guys. It's all over the place. Anyways, so the guy was on a fire trail digging crew in the Mosquito Meadows area of Mount St. Helens. And he's like, so we would be tent camping out there to do our things. Every morning, I would be sitting outside my tent, drinking my coffee, and no joke, I would hear what sounded like gibbon whoops every morning at sunrise. Like I was at a zoo. And I was like, dude, you got to come on and chat with me. And he's like, there's absolutely no way I'm ever coming on record for this with my name. And I was like, okay, I respect that. And I was like, can I share it anonymously? He's like, yeah, sure. Knock yourself out, man. But it's like, can you imagine that? Just like hanging out near Mount St. Helens and all of a sudden it's like gibbon whoops, or we know it's not gibbons, right? So that was a weird one.
Yeah. So to go back to the guy with the decapitated bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been a gift for him, or it could have been, here's what'll happen to you if you stick around.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great point, Doug.
Know.
There's two ways to look at it. Sure. You know, it's like and that would be such an interesting gift, because usually maybe it's a shiny object, maybe it's a feather. Like I haven't heard a lot of like, here's a bear head, you know, but hey, we don't know how they work, right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, what are the weirdest gifts that you've heard? I mean, I've heard of snakes tied together, a lot of birds with their heads removed, tons of rabbits with their heads removed, or rabbit heads. I've heard that. What are some of the other weird left behinds that you've heard of?
To be honest, it's the bear head really takes the cake if it is a gift.
That would be a hard one to remove.
Yeah.
Just don't walk up to a bear and remove his head.
Yeah, right. You won't be needing this anymore.
No, jeez.
But yeah, like a lot of shiny stuff. Maybe like random toys or dolls. It's like stuff that. How did this even get here? It doesn't make sense that this is there. Right. So just like really weird stuff. Like I don't even see how you would be making this up. Like,
did you hear
so
about weird. I'm always talking about the possibility that blue is a popular color with Bigfoots.
Oh.
Because I've just heard so many stories, and I've personally found so many blue objects in these really complex tree structures that are, that don't look like they were human built. But this guy we had on last week said he had a beer stolen out of his cooler, and then he came back a year later, and the beer that was stolen out of his cooler was sitting on his deer stand stairway. And I said to him, was it blue? And he goes, it was like a bush lighter.
No way.
Yeah, he said it was blue.
Oh, man.
But the fact it was returned a year later is creepy.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I hear
really
a lot
weird.
of that. David Ellis has told me a ton of stories about things being brought back like way far away, like 6 months later. Something was just missing.
That's weird. I'm going to keep an ear out for the blue thing now, because I'll probably start hearing stuff now, the way things work, when you start focusing on something. But
well, I had a guy write to me, he heard that story, and he said, oh my God, did that ever hit home? It's in our comments from our last show, Alex. And he was just amazed because it matched what he's experienced in his life and his research, but he'd never heard it verbalized. And that's the other thing that you're doing when you're interviewing a witness. You're verbalizing something that's never talked about. Terms like
that's true.
I mean, really think about it. A camper knocked off its blocks. Now that's really a verbal description that other people are going to hear that and go, damn, our camera was knocked off its blocks too back in 1974. And we had a big smack on the side of, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Like a lot of these interviews have come about because people have heard another, like the Mark one came about because of one the week before. So sometimes the turnaround is really, really quick because so people need to realize that I figured it out. So the ratio is like this. For one person, it takes about talking to 30 people to get one person to say, okay, I'll come on and talk to you. And then 50% of that time, they don't show up because at the last minute they're like, yeah, dude, it's not happening. Like I don't want to lose my job. That's
they talked to their
100%.
wife or their loved one and they said I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Which I'm entirely respectful of because it's a crazy thing that they even got to that point where they're accepting of like, oh, I'm going to share this. Like, and sometimes people come back around like a year later, you know? So sometimes you just got to wait it out.
Daniel, let's see. Daniel Weeks says, I put up blue marbles. Was it you, Daniel, that left that comment last week? I can't remember.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyhow, what was I going to ask? Have you ever had any witnesses that you thought were lying on purpose? Because I would think that would be really rare. I mean, I would, because it's common sense. What do you have to gain?
Yeah. There are a lot of times where, so I will say this, everyone that gets on the podcast, I personally think that they are legit, because if I thought they were, there's a lot of people where they're like, oh, you can tell they just want to get on a pod. Like it's weird. Like, oh, I want to do that. And I don't get it, but there's just some weird thing there where it's like, I'll hit the big time if I can get on a podcast and lie about seeing a Bigfoot. Like that's their life goal. But, yeah, and I've gotten a more. I've started to integrate questions, like a questionnaire, screening questionnaire, and that's been helpful too. Just to kind of incorporate maybe some vetting, so get some quality interviews, and I'm learning as I go along. But yeah, everyone that's been on the podcast so far that I've talked to, I personally think that they are legit. Everyone else is welcome to their own opinion. So
is there some big red flags if you're about to have someone on, if where you get a feeling like this doesn't match all the other people I've had on that seem to have a legitimate encounter?
A huge red flag is like, hey, did you know I have a book? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I have a book. Yeah. Or it's just coming out, or it just came out. Can we talk about that too? That's a huge red flag. That's why you need to really research. So I usually catch those.
But it doesn't mean their experiences.
No, it doesn't. But then it changes the interview, right? So those are different if it's just like, talking to a police officer that is retired, and now he's retired and he's like, I can talk about what happened in northern Michigan now and how I had a standoff at the family cabin with a Bigfoot. And like,
he just doesn't want to get fired from his job. He's retired.
Right.
He's comfortable talking about it. He doesn't have a bunch of stuff to promote.
And it's also like, you can tell, when the guy is he's like at the point where he like almost, you have to be like, it's all right, man, if you need a few minutes. Like when it's a legitimate interview, like a lot of these witnesses, like they get back into it and they're like, I just need a minute. I'm going to be okay, but I just need a minute to get myself back, because they go right back into what happened. Like they're there mentally, and it's like, it's so intense. it's really intense sometimes.
Have you also met the witnesses? These are the ones I love. The ones that had a good sighting, I would even consider a Class A, but they don't even believe it themselves. They literally, it's like it just couldn't have been real. It just couldn't have been. They talk themselves out of it.
They're like,
or they think it's like, because there's no way it could be real, then I'm not telling anybody for that reason.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening, and those are good because like you never want to like lead the witness, right? But you want to say just share with me what happened, and yeah, you're right. Like some of these witnesses, they're at the point where they're like, hey, I don't know what happened, but something happened, and I can't sleep at night unless I talk to someone. And my buddy was like, hey, you should talk to Jeremiah or Brian or Wes or whatever. So,
do you ever have any like real time where you get a witness that just had the sighting a week ago? Or generally, are they older or a year old? Or
let me think. So the closest to that would be when I was talking to Mark in Clay County, Tennessee, because he was having things happen like just night, like in the last week, and stuff was happening, and then after the interview, he was just like, hey, this happened again. Now things are cool. This happened to my neighbor. That's the thing, because Bigfoot doesn't see property lines. Like people have to remember that. Like this guy Mark, he had crazy stuff at his house, and like then so what would happen? The Bigfoot would mess with his house, then go over to his neighbor's house, and like the neighbor tried to take it out with a certain instrument and missed, and then that really got the Bigfoot mad, and it's like all this wild stuff, and the dog got pretty hurt in the process, but it's wild stuff. So.
With your witnesses, how many of them are like Bigfoot researchers that have actively gone out, knew what they were looking for, versus they were just living their life at a hunting cabin and they just stumbled into this?
That's a really, really good question. I would say that the split is about 75-25 or 80-20. Yeah. Yeah. And most of them being non-researchers. But there are some researchers, and those are very important because it's a different viewpoint on them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most listeners will be like, I want to hear the ones that are like, Joe homeowner, and it's like, just, give me the really crazy ones. But I also think it's important to talk to people like I talked to Todd Samples and Doug Shea recently about their time out in Northern California, and they're the guys that found the snow tracks on the Go Road. But they also had some really interesting encounter stories, and I've gotten some feedback where it's like, well, those guys don't sound really excited about what they saw, and it's like, I try to explain to people, it's like, you don't have to be really excited to share what you saw. Like maybe you're just a guy where it's like you just want to be calm and just share, and that's okay. But
how many people do you think are just confused when they first see it? Because I know when I had my first sighting, man, you're just totally confused.
I mean, I would say most of them, Doug, that I've talked to, well, first, it's like they almost have this, a lot of them say, they have this internal, like, struggle for a few seconds where they're like, I know it's not this. My brain won't allow me to think that it is this. It's got to be something else. It's got to be a moose, or something. And then it's like, it's a Bigfoot, and it's like they have this weird paradigm shift that happens in a few seconds when they have their initial sighting, and some people it really, really messes them up.
Is there any commonalities that you've been surprised by with all the witnesses you've interviewed?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. So the weird thing, there is a weird thing that keeps coming up sometimes, especially around like the Alaska and Pacific Northwest and some like Native American ones. It's like four-toed Bigfoot stories.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
And the first one I heard, I was like, this sounds really like I've never really read anything about this, and it sounds almost too crazy. But then like another guy brought it up in Alaska, and I was like, oh man, like maybe there is something here. I need to take a little closer look about it. But supposedly, per what the inhabitants, the residents of Prince of Wales Island in Alaska, southeast Alaska, say is that supposedly there's different tribes of Sasquatch, and the four-toed, red-haired ones, and I apologize, there is a certain term for them. It escapes my mind right now, but it's like there's tribes. They are the very like vicious ones, the ones that usually, from what the tribes say on the island, if someone goes missing and they've been taken by a Sasquatch, it's due to them. Okay. And that has also been reported in the Mount St. Helens area. There was there's some wild stuff that's happened over there. Like
there's a four-toed print right there.
Yeah. Oh, well,
four toes, count them.
There you go, Doug. Look out, man. Where'd you get that one from?
Look at the one from David Ellis.
Oh, cool. That makes sense. Yeah.
It's got a super wide foot, a super broad heel, super deep heel. But
MM46, I know who you are, man.
Huh? What was that?
No, me and Mothman 46 are buddies.
Oh, okay.
I know who he is now. Okay. Oh yeah, but it's a good question.
Well, yeah,
I don't mind asking.
We'll get into that.
All right.
We'll get into that. Alex, can you do me a favor? Look up how common four toes happens in humans. See if you can Google. Ask the Google.
It's worth a Google, Alex.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a Google. I know six toes is pretty common. It's like a lot more common you'd want to know. I keep hearing stories.
When I search, all that's really coming up is web toes, which, not that you want to know this, but it's like 1 in every 2,000.
Have web toes.
Yeah.
I wonder if web toes would cause, a misaligned footprint.
Oh, yeah.
Where only like four toes would show up. Web toes. Do you have a picture of web toes? I'm not sure what you mean by web. I mean, I know what you mean.
Be cautious, Alex.
Yeah, be cautious.
I don't know if I want to.
Is it pretty gross? Okay, never mind.
You really want feet pictures?
Change my mind. I changed my mind. Oh my God, we're all paranoid.
Super paranoid, dude.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, but what about three toes? I hear three-toed tracks too quite often. Three-toed.
I've heard of them, not personally from a witness, but I've heard them be mentioned in certain other things, but nothing that's come up in an actual witness report that I've taken. So,
can you look that up too, Alex? Well, what did you find on the four toes?
Maybe 1 in 1,000.
1 in 1,000 birds have four toes.
Those are good
So
odds.
that's a pretty high number.
Yeah.
So if it's happening with humans, it could be a genetic thing that gets carried on, and so it's not that weird. That's the cool thing about Bigfoot. There's nothing weird about it. There really isn't anything weird. It's a human-looking thing with hair. God, I mean, what's the big deal about hair? That we have people with hypertrichinosis that are covered.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say it. That are covered in hair from head to toe. I mean, they have more hair than even Bigfoots are said to have.
What do you think of Dogman?
So I.
Well, what did you?
So
okay,
first
no,
off,
okay.
Alan.
Okay,
Alan,
I'm gonna interrupt. I can interrupt.
All right.
No, first, you gotta tell us what you first thought when you first heard about Dogman, and then what you
I like that.
think.
All right.
now.
All right. Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
I like that. So,
How has your opinion changed, if at all?
Yeah.
So for some reason, when let's say going back a few years, like Bigfoot has like an authenticity factor, but like you hear Dogman and oh man, this is going to get me in so much trouble. But it's like you hear Dogman and I'm like, I don't know, that just sounds weird. I don't know if I believe it. But then like I want to say I think I've talked to a few people. This is years ago. And like their stories are just as wild. Like, you know, they did definitely encounter something. And I'm going to do a shout out for another podcast. Cryptids of the Corn have a great episode about hyenas and how there's supposedly tons of hyenas in the U.S. and those account for a lot of the Dogman sightings. Like it's a fascinating episode. They do cryptids coupled with their biologists.
Okay.
It's very interesting stuff. You should check them out. But
I will.
Hyenas. So.
Alex, can you block one of these?
Yeah, I did.
Spammers here. Gosh,
nice work, Alex.
That's great. We had a huge problem at one point. Now we don't have a problem. And apparently now it's starting up again.
I'm sure you've had plenty of that fun.
There's been a few times where I'm like, oh boy, I need moderators. I don't do a lot of lives though, to be honest, guys. But there's been a few times when I have, and I used to do a call-in show on Sunday nights, and that just got a little bit too wild. And this was like back when I was like maybe only like 2,000-3,000. And now I'm almost to 10,000. I think it would be a much different story. I don't know if I could even do it. I would just get spammed the whole time, and it would be an interesting show. But you know,
yeah, we're thinking on adding that feature at some point.
It would be cool. It's kind of like an old school Art Bell thing. It'd be fun to try.
On adding it.
Yeah,
we did one call-in show that was nuts.
Really?
Crashed the servers.
Oh my goodness.
That was crazy.
Let's check that out.
We had that psychic on. Gary's baby.
Yeah. So many people were calling. The line wasn't working. I had a Skype line.
Oh, okay.
It crashed, and then he
couldn't handle the amount of calls you're getting.
So yeah, anyhow.
That's nice.
So okay. So do you think there you kind of did a walk around that question?
Yeah.
But what do you think today? Do you think because of all the witnesses that there's, it could be a flesh and blood creature just living in the woods?
Oh, so the question is, do I think is it Bigfoot is flesh and blood?
No.
Oh, Dogman.
And then we'll get back to Bigfoot.
Personally, so definitely flesh and blood. I do think that there could be some misidentification where like they make very compelling arguments in that episode for potential hyenas still living in the U.S. I think that because if you look at Dogman types, one of them looks like a hyena. Like it is nuts. Yep. So I think we're looking at a flesh and blood, potentially misidentification, could be a hyena, which sounds crazy to people, but listen to the episode from Cryptids of the Corn, and you'll be talking about it for weeks after. It's that good.
When I first started hearing Dogman sightings, I thought they were all just misidentified Bigfoots.
That's interesting.
But there was a few witnesses that you listen to, and man, I talked to one guy that said, "Oh, we've had them on our farm for 3 generations, and my grandmother, and blah blah blah, and this family, our 80 acres is." Oh yeah, we saw the female with her pups, and it's all matter of fact to them.
Oh yeah, you have like the Beast of Bray Road stuff up in up in your area, but I guess to the east, right?
I gave lie detector tests to numerous witnesses, and they all passed.
Man,
so I don't know what to think. I've seen things. I think you're very familiar with the Van Meter visitor, right?
Yeah, I believe I've heard of it.
Yeah.
No, it's 20 minutes away from where I live.
Right.
And I'm full disclosure, I'm a member of the festival planning committee.
Oh,
they were
okay.
like, last year, they were like, hey, you talk about this a lot. Do you want to be on the planning committee? Yeah, sure.
But what happens to a person's reality? So I was driving down 35W with Yvette, and it was a full moon night, beautiful evening. We're just driving, trying to get back home, and all of a sudden this thing just dropped down out of the sky like a spider, and went right for my windshield. And it had wings as wide as the freeway. Came to the windshield, just made a beeline right for the windshield. She screamed and ducked, and I ducked just maybe a second and a half later, and I got a good look at it, and and I'm like, very humbling. What did we see? I don't know.
And that was up in Minnesota?
Yeah, so right out of Moose Lake, Minnesota, 35W.
Have there been, do you guys have sightings of Thunderbirds up there?
Well, I'm not aware of any. There's obviously Wisconsin, there have been.
Right.
But no, this was not a bird. This was definitely a bat-wing kind of creature. But
the thing is, Doug, it's like you look at there's all these Mothman reports, and it's not just Chicago. It's kind of working. Like this is a long time ago. I've talked to people where it's not just Chicago, but it's up in those states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and I don't really. Yeah, I kind of have to keep that one vague.
But here's my point. The way it dropped straight down with its wings open defied physics.
Oh yeah.
And then it headed for the windshield, and I wouldn't have told a soul hadn't Yvette, not seen it with me. Exact same description. I don't know what to tell you. Where do you put something like that? You stick it in your gray basket, and there it stays, but it still haunts me.
Can you imagine if you would have had a one of those cameras set up in your car?
Oh yeah, if I would have
over
had a
in
dash
Russia,
cam.
everyone has them, right?
I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
That's for sure.
No, I'm joking. But I do know that. But I do know this. The sighting maybe wouldn't have happened then.
Oh, okay. You think that maybe it would be, kind of like when you have the trail cams up, you're not going to ever, get the Bigfoot photos.
Yeah, it's exactly that kind of a weird feeling. Just like we just put a GPS tracker on something. We had 5 taken in a week. Then we put a tracker on the same thing, put it right next to the other one. It hasn't been touched. And it just drives you crazy. You know what I mean? Because think about it. If this thing gets taken, we've got a drone standing by to zoom right in on this thing.
You're ready,
we're ready, and nothing. I just sit there and look at the map. I'm going to check it right now. And it just has not moved.
Oh, so you're looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not, and it's in a very, very wild, remote area. I was actually impressed at how remote it is, but 5 of them disappeared by 2 different researchers in 2 different completely areas, and they were all 4 of them were a mile apart. All of them disappeared, and
that's weird.
Torn from a tree, 10 feet up with lag bolts.
Right. Yep.
And it's just like
I'm tracking. Yeah.
It's just weird. I'm gonna look at this real time again.
It's got to be maddening. It's like what with the NAWAC back in the day with the they were kept on tracking those tags, and they're like, we know it's here. Why can't we get this thing? And it's like the Tag 7 project, I believe it's called. People can look that up.
Is that the Kathy Strain and the Area X?
Well, I escapes me who exactly was involved. I know Kathy Strain has been there along with Bob multiple times. They have some pretty interesting. I talked to Kathy a few years ago about that. It's been forever.
Well, that's the only tag thing I know of.
Right.
Where excuse me, a Bigfoot may have been tagged with a burr.
Right. Hey, is that David Ellis in the chat right now?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool, dude.
Yeah. Why can I? Oh, there we go. I have to hit this app, but I can look at this real time. And it's so cool to think, what if a Bigfoot grabbed it? And I can see where it went, and we can drone it, go high altitude, and then just come buzzing right down on it, straight down, and get footage. That would be like, oh, so cool.
What if you could have like a tag that had like a little camera built into it?
Well, then it would be a camera.
Okay, come on.
So here it is. I don't even know if it'll show up. It won't even show up. But I'm looking at it right now, and it's not moved again. I check it every hour.
Yeah.
Stinks.
Not cool.
So you do wonder if by watching, I would say if you watch a potted liver boil,
exactly.
It's that quantum, that kind of a weird quantum deal. I don't know. I'm just open-minded. I'm open-minded to anything.
And that, in this field, you have to be open-minded. It's like, it just gets me how there's a lot of closed-mindedness, and that doesn't amount to anything. There are no wrong or right answers yet. We haven't captured one, so we can't say for certain about anything, right? You gotta have an open mind. That's what.
Here goes my fantasy. Well, then we all fantasize. We all get the King Kong syndrome, I call it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm fantasizing. Okay, this thing ripped off 5 of them. Well, it's going to rip it off the tree, and it's going to just keep it right by its side for like a week. And we're just going to have that thing's location's going to carry it everywhere it goes because it's like a new toy. And we're just going to drone in on our leisure, and it's going to be looking up at the drone. And we're going to get clear, close-up 4K footage, right? It's a fantasy. But it could happen maybe.
Well, Doug, like what else could it be? I'm sure you've thought about like what else could it be, right? Like
it can't be anything else.
Yeah.
You would have to have a ladder with you.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to be at superhuman strength, and you'd have to have a wrench. But to rip it off the tree, you'd have to have a crowbar, right? And then you'd leave crowbar marks and blah 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 blah.
Man. And
then they're hidden. These are off trail. So what they'll do is drive on a rugged ATV trail, and then they'll walk in for a mile. So it isn't like someone's going to just walk into the thick forest off trail and spot it and go, hey, let's tear that off. It's just a blue piece of plastic. There's no value,
Yeah.
It's not a camera.
Because if you put a camera up, you don't have cameras up where those are, because then it wouldn't be an accurate, the camera would scare off whatever's going to rip
Well,
off.
maybe, I don't know that. We've got a whole bunch of things planned.
Okay.
This is just one thing. Yes, we do have tiny little cameras that we're going to be utilizing very soon. Very soon.
Nice.
But I'm waiting for certain things to get ripe, and I've got certain things we're going to do. But let's put it this way: if you can hide a camera that's tiny,
mm-hmm.
and if it has no passive sensors, no sensors on it, and it's just recording 24/7, and the lens is 1/4 of an inch, and that's all that shows. But yet any human you could put there for a month, they'd never find it. And it doesn't get a Bigfoot. It's like, oh man, it's frustrating.
Does that kind of camera even exist?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. They exist.
Wow.
I mean, you can get, you've been able to buy buttonhole, I just call them 3.6 millimeter cameras forever.
Gotcha.
The only difference now is they're getting higher and higher quality.
Okay.
So it's resolution. It started out at like 320 resolution. and they were hitting 420 and then 520 and 720, and now they claim they're at least high def.
Wow.
Which is pretty
That's
good
wild.
resolution for a tiny little, I mean, we're talking the size of a ballpoint pen, the tip. Drill a hole in a tree. Do you really think you're going to see a little black 1/4 inch?
No.
Tiny little thing. I don't think so.
Have we ever put one in a peanut butter jar?
Yes, I did that too.
Oh, that's cool.
Where you had to open the peanut butter jar because we were having peanut butter taken every night. Now listen to this, Jeremiah.
Mhm.
Jar was unscrewed every night. Peanut butter was cleaned out to the point of being, looks like it went through a dishwasher. Sometimes it'd be big fingerprints on them.
Okay.
But generally they'd get eaten. Never a scratch on the jars, no teeth marks,
Just twist it over.
So then we do the we called it peanut butter surprise. And it's on my Facebook page if you're willing to scroll down months and months ago.
I am
last
willing to,
summer.
so
You can
I'll be
see
checking
peanut
that
butter
out later.
surprise. Camera. Didn't
So-
work. It didn't work.
And you put it in with a bunch of peanut butter.
Yeah. Just push it right in there so that it's sticking straight up.
Yeah.
So when you take the jar off, the cover off, it's too late. By the time they see the camera, they're busted.
Yeah.
And I had it going right
Yeah.
into the cloud. I mean, it was foolproof. High activity. By the way, an area that has had now 17 sightings
17.
by people that don't even know each other.
Was it smooth or crunchy peanut butter?
That's the difference. Yeah. Good question.
Not
Tate.
Tate wants to know.
I'm not answering that.
Get him out of
I'm
here.
not telling Tate anything. We love you, Tate, but you've got enough info.
Who knows?
Come on, we're trying to do a doc here.
Yeah, Tate. Tate's trying to steal my peanut butter surprise camera idea. That's fine. You can steal it. It's good. But my point is, these things have been outsmarting me. I feel like the coyote and the roadrunner.
Yeah. Could you strap a tiny camera to a raven's head?
Yes. Yes. Why are
Really?
you? Yes. So one of the things I'm going to be doing, and sure, I'm going to put it out here and everybody will be doing it. That's fine.
Everyone's gonna be strapping
That's
cameras
fine.
to
Whatever.
ravens.
So what you do is you take, you get a coyote research permit.
Yeah.
Trank a coyote. Doesn't hurt it. Put a collar on it, a camera collar that's completely isolated, records to an SD card, but the collar is made of paper, folded up paper, so it'll dissolve and drop off, and it's got a GPS tracker on it. And to top it off, the paper's covered in coyote fur, so it blends in beautiful.
Oh, it's perfect.
Did you make this up yourself, Doug?
Yeah, of
or
course.
That's amazing, dude.
That's what my poor brain. I got a ton of things, but
That's wild.
I have another 50 things I haven't tried yet. It doesn't.
Hey, Dad, did you see what Mothman said in the chat?
No, I didn't. What?
Read
it.
Oh, yeah, why don't you read it?
Where am I going to find it? You want me to read it? Mothman, peanut butter jar spike with a half pound of X-Lax. It'll be easy to track. Yeah, that's good. Hey, it could work. It could work. You never know it'll work.
That's the thing that does them in.
You just
Can you
don't
imagine?
know. You can say these ideas are silly. Hey, when I proposed my squid idea, they all laughed at me. I was at a board meeting, and they literally eye rolled. Swear to God, they were. Just
What was the
rolling
idea
eyes.
they eye rolled?
Catching a squid
Yeah.
big enough to hold a camera.
Yeah.
But build a lure, a big giant lure, catch a squid on that, and then put a camera on a live squid, send him down. It was too many steps, and they just thought, that's never happening. It worked.
It worked, man. Yeah.
So there you go. So you never know. And it certainly will never work, Jeremiah, if you don't try.
Yeah.
Exactly. You miss 100% of the shots
Yes.
you don't take.
Yes.
Wayne Gretzky.
Yep. And
Michael
what
Scott.
if what if Bob and and Roger would have said, there's no chance ever getting one of these on film. And I think they just came upon the perfect storm, the stream, the big log jam. They were on horseback, and he had a spring wind camera. Just push the button, fix focus, spring wind, instant on.
So, Dad, what about this? What about going back to spring cameras?
Yeah, I've been preaching that. I literally have been. You can literally on eBay still buy tons of 35 millimeter, 16 millimeter, even 8 millimeter spring wind cameras.
Because maybe they can't pick up.
There's no power needed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're instant on it. So if you would have been on that expedition with Bob Gimlin, right? You were the camera guy. You would have not probably got a thing. Or you'd have
By
got
the time you got everything turned on,
a little fly speck.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have got the Patterson Gimlin with a cell phone because it takes too long to fire it up. And find, scroll around. Oh, this is the camera. Ah, damn it, I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong one again. There it is.
Oh, no, it's out of power. It died on me.
Yeah, it's still whatever. You know how it goes. And with a spring wind camera, it's boom, instant on.
Yeah.
Even a spring wind film, a still camera.
Is something reliable about that?
You can still buy the film at Walmart for a 16 millimeter movie camera.
Really?
You can still get it developed at Walmart. Yeah. Online, of course. But they're the ones they're offering this service. So there you go. That's what I think.
There you go.
Go back. We got to go back.
Did you get that one, Tate?
Yeah,
Tate.
Yeah, Tate. Let's get that one,
Tate.
buddy. Okay, so listeners that don't get it, like Tate and I are really good buds, and
friend with him.
Last year he took me out on my first Bigfoot expedition in Iowa. It was amazing.
Were you scared at all? Or were you excited?
So I was very apprehensive, and the goal that I had was to be able to ask better questions to researchers and people that go out, because I'd actually gone out myself. But we did have some really weird stuff happen, and you can. He's got, the Sasquatch, just search for Sabe's doc series on YouTube. You can watch the Iowa one.
Look at the comment.
Get out of my face, dude.
Scared.
Come on. So I was a little bit weirded out, though. I'll give you that, Tate. So we had a tree pushed over in the woods in front of us. We had wood knocks at 3:45 in the morning. Also, I got audio of my tent being unzipped, and I never left my tent. And that weirded me out for a few weeks after I reviewed that audio. I was like, I don't know how to deal with this. So we are going back there this August again. So we'll see if we have any other things happen. But it was a really fun.
What's the location? What are the GPS coordinates?
Yeah. So it's well, I guess I can say it's Tri-Lake Forest is the code name.
Tri-Lake Forest.
Yeah.
I can get that out of Tate easy.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. He's a steel trap. But I respect Tate's. Tate is the one that focused in on that area first, so I respect his.
Tate's a bulldog, man.
He is. Yeah.
So did you feel you came away with it with you could identify more with the witnesses?
Yes, absolutely. So, well, definitely researchers in the fact that I had no idea most of the time you're kind of just hanging out in camp, and it's not action all the time. There's a lot of like waiting until the right time, right? Until dusk, or I can definitely relate to witnesses after that because I was really confused. I was even a little freaked out, especially after I talked to some people on Bigfoot Society like a month afterwards, where it was a guy talking about how they had a Bigfoot come into their camp and unzip a food cooler. And another person randomly told me about how they were out in the Pacific Northwest, and there was a young lady in a tent, and there's a Bigfoot that was messing around with the zipper on the tent. So just to have other people say the same thing or something related to it, it's just very weird. Yeah, Tate, definitely. As Tate said, he was like, you gotta realize you don't usually have this weird stuff happen on your first time. Like this is very, very out of the ordinary. Most of the times, nothing happens. So gotta definitely, remember that. It's not all crazy action every time you go out. But
no, but it it can be.
It can be. You gotta be prepared.
I took my daughter on an expedition, my youngest, and she'd been hearing stories for her whole life, and never gone. And we took her. And cabin got attacked 4 times while she was in it, and that was pretty scary. Very scary for her. I asked her, "Do you want to go again?" She's like, "I don't think so."
Was that in Canada?
It was right on the Canadian border. This
Really?
one was actually in the U.S.
Oh my goodness!
It was right on the border.
Wow. You had like a Ape Canyon thing going on almost.
Yeah, well, it was a cabin that was off the grid. I rented it, and it was off the grid completely. 11, 12 miles down a logging road, a really rugged logging road to get there. And bugs like you have never seen in your life. And we heard a scream, which was so bizarre. We were just unloading the car, and there was a scream maybe 50 feet, 70 feet from us.
Man.
That she's like, Dad, you're putting blankets over our window tonight. And she said, I'm never going to sleep. So I duct tape a big native blanket up on the window to cover it. And something came up on the porch first and opened and closed the recycling bin for the glass, opened and closed it like 30 times. Which is where I first started thinking, man, these things maybe are a little autistic. And opened and closed the one on the aluminum one a ton of times, and then walked down the porch, started playing with the Velcro on the truck, the tonneau cover, then walked up the porch again, opened and closed the glass recycling bin, did the other one, and did that like 5 times, repeated that whole process. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to get a 30-30 gun loaded.
Yeah.
Trying to be very quiet because at this point I'm just kind of getting a little weirded out.
Well, yeah, I mean, your daughter's...
Because is this a human? Yeah. And I do not want to peel that tape off the window and cause either a creature to go ballistic or a human to feel threatened, like, oh, we saw, you know what I mean? A crazy human. It would have been a nuts human. And then the cabin got bam so hard that the bed flew away from the wall.
Oh my goodness!
And that was the night 1. And there were 3 other nights of that same kind of thing, except it attacked a different wall on the cabin every night. So every night, a different person in the cabin had that experience of that cabin being shoved so hard. It was like a semi-truck hit it.
That's like crazier than Snellgrove Lake, man.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It hit the cabin harder than I can't even, it was almost otherworldly.
Did you ever look up to see if there were other sightings or encounters in that same area?
Of course. Yeah. That's why we went there.
Oh, so you went into it saying like, this is where it's going to happen.
Blueberries that were ripe. I waited to the exact, blueberries were everywhere, ripe. I waited till it's right near all these creeks and water, and they had all the elements, man. This was it. They had the logging road, it had everything you'd ever want for an encounter. And it was the right time of year where I figured they'd be there. And so it would do this intimidation thing. It would do this play around thing. And then it would do the intimidation thing on the cabin every night. And we had recorders out, audio record. They don't seem to be bothered by those. But Blaine was with. He insisted we don't bring cameras. He just says nothing ever happens. And that happened with me and Blaine. We spent a ton of money going up to Snell. We had the whole cabin wired.
Yeah.
Small cameras. Nothing happened. You know, so it's just
so weird.
It's frustrating. You know, and all I can think of is they're just extremely keen on cameras. You know, or you know, maybe there's truth to the woo.
Would you ever go back to that cabin?
Snell, we're going in August.
Well, I know about the Snell
the
Grove,
other
but I'm
one,
saying this,
absolutely.
this other cabin that you just talked about.
Yeah,
would you ever go back to
plan
that?
on it. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
okay.
God, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. That one's within driving distance for you, Jeremiah.
Well,
you can
in the
come
future.
Yeah, we'll get you that new truck and you can come up.
Yeah. Well, northern Minnesota. So, yeah, that's totally,
Yeah.
you know, it's probably like 7-8 hours. I don't know.
Yeah, big deal. That's nothing.
Not a big deal.
I used to drive 5.5 hours, go up to Ely, work all day, filming bears, then drive all the way back the same day.
Oh, it's crazy.
And, you know, you'd be pretty tired when you got home, but even that was doable, you know.
Oh, my goodness.
So what do we have for no? We got plenty of time. I was going to mention to people, this has nothing to do with Jeremiah, but one of the things we're going to be doing is sometimes we get in deep conversations that run over. Some of those are going to be members only, you know, kind of an overtime kind of deal. So we're planning on doing that. I don't know if that'll happen tonight. I think Jeremiah is probably pretty wiped out for any after hour
whatever
activity.
you want, man.
Oh, okay. So, so what was the turning point in your brain going, these are 100% real, like 100%? Or maybe you're not there yet.
So I would say okay, let me start with this. Yes, I think they're real. I would say the real turning point was capturing stuff that didn't make sense last August. That was very weird. That was like, okay, you're not just sitting in front of your computer talking about someone or talking to someone who's experienced something. This is actually happening in front of you in real time. And that was a little weird to wrap my mind around now. So I think they're real. What the next step though is, you know, someday I really want to have at least hear a vocal, or, you know, even someday have a visual. But I'm already there at the point where I believe that there's something out there personally. So undiscovered great ape is what I think. But, you know, Bigfoot Society, I talk to people all over the place. Again, no right or wrong answers. That's my personal opinion. But, that trip with Tate kind of sealed it in my mind that, hey, there really is something out here because you just experienced it for yourself. Now the next step is, I don't know, eventually you want to go to some crazy place where I would love to go down to Oklahoma, Doug. Holy mackerel.
Oh, to like Area X.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even, so I've talked to so many people from Oklahoma. I'm at the realization it's not just Area X, dude. It's the whole state is nuts. Like even Western Oklahoma, people don't realize. Like I talked to Jim Whitehead.
Yeah.
It's nuts over there too. It's just as bad as the other side.
Well, think about it. They have a ton of water. They have hills, lots of hills.
Mm-hmm.
They have a huge boreal forest. They have mild weather, a little more mild in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is maybe some of them, like from the Midwest, are shifting south to Oklahoma in the wintertime. Would be one possibility.
It's a cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Like a lot of people, well, I talked to a few researchers in Iowa. A lot of people think that, you know, it's you know, they're migrating through Iowa. But again, I think there are some solid, and I gotta be so careful right now, but there are some solid places that I think they do hang out in there as well. And you can, there's a solid Finding Bigfoot Iowa episode. You can get some info from there as well.
Yeah, I mean, Eastern Iowa.
It's crazy.
People think of Iowa, they think of corn.
Oh my goodness!
But Eastern Iowa is a whole different story.
I've talked to so many guys, and this is like not on Bigfoot Society, but people don't realize. Like, I talk to a lot of people off camera, but like, man, Eastern Iowa, like Dubuque County, holy mackerel! That northeast corner of the state is nuts. Like, yeah, it's crazy. I hope the one guy that I talk to writes a book someday. But man, some crazy stuff in that. Well,
that area that's a glacier area.
Yeah.
I mean, the glaciers went through there too and carved all that crazy stuff out. Where I don't think Central Iowa ever had glaciers go through there and scrub. I mean, there's not many lakes in the middle of Iowa, is there?
I mean, this is terrible. I only lived there. I'm thinking of Saylorville, but it's a man-made one. So, we don't have crazy big ones. Someone in the chat is going to be like, I'm from Iowa. You're dead wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, Bigfoots tend to live anywhere there's woods, water, and hills. Or just at least two of those things. If you got woods and water, well, you can have Bigfoots.
The other thing that I learned this from the Untold Network. Of course. Dr. Russ's show. I mean,
yep, he's amazing.
They're all solid, but such a good show. And I was watching one, and he was like talking about. It's usually there's a certain rain rate, precipitation rate.
Yep, 40 inches or more.
Right, yeah. And I was like, oh man, that's fascinating.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, I should make a prompt in ChatGPT and make it look for remote places and places that have Bigfoot reports, but also they have a certain percentage of rain annually. And it was really interesting because then it's like you could put in any location and say like, okay, put in this location and within, give me back 5 areas within 60 miles or 120 miles. And
then add something where, areas where creeks and streams all come together can join.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good idea.
Because they're all corridors.
Yeah.
And those are the areas that I find have the most activity when you have, a little creek goes into a big creek and another creek, and then this other river, this stuff all hits. And then maybe even there's a power line cut, a railroad track. Yep. Man, those things, that all lead into the forest. Those things almost kind of go ding, ding, ding. You're going to have Bigfoot activity.
It's wild. And I want to shout out, I can't remember if we did already, Bigfoot Mapping Project. I think we might have mentioned him in a roundabout way.
Yeah,
but
Scott Tompkins.
His maps, holy mackerel, like you said corridors, and it triggered it in my mind. It was like he brings out these maps that's like, okay, here's the Iowa map. And it's like, man, it really does line up. Like, it's crazy. But check that out, people, if you have not checked out Bigfoot Mapping Project. But I'm sure you already have. So,
Alex, you're getting a lot of love tonight.
This is a great Alex
people,
episode.
Alex. If I see one more Alex compliment,
you're out of here.
No,
bud.
that's no. He deserves it. He's a wonderful person, actually. If you couldn't already tell,
I can tell. He we'll talk. Alex works really hard to make this show go well. Like, sending me texts and checking in. Like, hey, got an hour until showtime. Like, oh my goodness, I should do that too. That's really nice. It's a lot of work. People don't realize how much work goes into making shows like this, actually happen.
Especially with the time zones, man. That still gets confusing.
Yeah. I got a request to be on a podcast in England on Friday, I guess. And they're like, It's going to be 6 p.m. UK time. I'm like, what? If you think my poor brain can figure that one out.
Goodness.
I know they're 5 or 6 hours, but I'm either gonna do it too early or too late.
Exactly.
I'm gonna screw up.
There's this. So yeah, that just reminded me, Doug. There's this guy I've always wanted to talk to, and I can't get it to work. So he's Rex Yappy over in Papua New Guinea. Have you heard of this guy?
No, I haven't.
He's a guy in Papua New Guinea, and he studies cryptids. He's a local guy. And I was like, man, I gotta like interview this guy. And I was like, how can we get this to work? But he's like, he has no really, he doesn't have the internet. They don't have the internet over there to make it work. So I'm like, I don't think this will ever happen. But he's actually looking into local versions of Bigfoot in these Papua New Guinea islands. And I'm like, man, someone, if you can figure out how to get this interview to work, Doug, it'd be an incredible interview.
Yeah, it can be a real problem with international. I want to get our author for The Secret Elephants on. Gareth Patterson.
Oh yeah. That guy is pretty cool.
He's had, I believe, 8 sightings.
Man,
doing elephant research in Africa, southern Africa, of hairy hominids that aren't gorillas and they're not chimps. These are upright walking, and to hear his stories, it's really amazing. And he's even had cabins attacked over in Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
It's Southern Africa.
South
Africa.
Yeah.
That's
South
crazy,
Africa.
man. Wow.
Yeah, he's had cabin slaps, same kind of behavior.
Jeremiah, this question isn't going away.
I know.
Flesh and blood or woo?
So personally, flesh and blood, I do believe that is an undiscovered great ape. Now, with this caveat, so think about animals that are weird. Think of like the stuff the platypus can do, right?
Yeah.
So what's to say that it's not an undiscovered great ape that can do some really weird stuff that might be might be interpreted as woo? I don't know, right? It could be a possibility, but
yeah, I know what you're saying.
I was gonna say, Aspasia's listening. Why don't you? The whole southern hemisphere is there. I mean, that's their specialty.
Oh, they should make it happen.
She
Totally.
Aspasia lives in Australia. In Australia, they do a show down south anomalies.
Yep, that's a good show.
They might have a way of getting a hold of or figuring out a way to do an interview with him.
They'll make it happen.
So how do you spell his name? What's his name?
Rex Yappy.
There you go,
REX.
Rex,
And I think it's
so what you're going to want to do is book Rex and then don't tell Jeremiah about it and just interview him.
It'd be a great
yourself.
surprise.
Yeah, no, just interview him yourself. Scoop him.
Yeah. No, dude. It's at the point where I don't care if I talk to him. I just want to hear what the dude has to say.
You want to hear him yourself.
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
You'd be happy to be.
But if anybody can get a hold of such a person and get an interview, it'd be those two.
Absolutely.
Jay and Aspasia. Yeah, they're
Tate
amazing.
has an important follow-up question.
It's all garbage, Tate. I'm just kidding.
Blue Ribbon or Pabst
No,
Blue Ribbon?
that's Tate's favorite beer is PBR.
Oh,
Yeah.
Milwaukee's
joke.
best. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I drink Corona because it's made with real sugar.
Oh.
Yep.
I like ciders myself. That's what I like. And I haven't been able to drink for like almost 2 years because I had to go on like high blood pressure stuff. And then I lost like 25 pounds. And my doctor was like, well, you got to get off that now because you're passing out. And I'm like, all right.
So that makes you lose.
Time.
That makes you lose weight.
No, I had to actively try to lose weight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just looking for a quick fix.
No, there's no quick fix, guys. I was literally like, if I'm ever going to get out into like area X or like south, whatever, fill in the blank. I can't go when I'm not healthy. So that was like one of my main things was like lose the weight and get out there and do crazy Alex Petikoff stuff someday. So.
That's so funny. It's so funny you say that. I had a buddy that lost a ton of weight, and my mom got really excited. She's like, "How did he do it?" And when I told her I was like diet and exercise, she looked so disappointed.
That's all it is. I walk 7.5 miles a day.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of walking.
Yeah, it is, but it's worth it.
I bike 7.5 miles a day.
You got those cool bikes you make.
Yeah,
Doug.
I cheat.
You make those electric bikes, right?
I cheat.
Yeah.
I cheat a bit. I'm still pedaling.
There you go.
But you come home, you're not sweaty. You're just like cool as a cucumber. All right, Alex, you're up. Come on. Come up with a good question for Jeremiah.
What kind of witness would you... Is there... I don't know. I'm
That made me a little nervous for a second. Like, oh, here we go.
Oh my God.
Where am I going with this?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Alex cracks me up when I can't breathe sometimes. I'll be talking on the phone with him and he'll say something just totally off the out of the blue and it'll just kill me. I'll still never forget the time you told me alligators do the stroll. They stroll.
He's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, what do you think of tree structures?
Oh, there we go.
So this is a tough one, but it's a really good question so here's why. So I grew up in a summer camp environment in Western Massachusetts for the first 18 years of my life. And every year we had an outdoor skills week. And every year I would teach kids of all ages over and over and over again how to make what we would call tree structures. And they were really good. So I don't know if I can get on board with tree structures being a evidence for Bigfoot when in the past, in my camping background, make some killer tree structures like backwoods camping stuff. So I don't know, man.
No, describe your killer tree structures, Jeremiah.
Anything from teepees or taking a long stick, putting it so it's this, and then and then you lean other sticks up against it, or you'd put tree boughs. We even had kids that were taking and weaving stuff into sticks together to hold it, really crazy stuff that would make Bigfoot researchers be like, oh my goodness, that's a Squatch in this woods.
Yeah, it could be.
So personally, and I know that a few people are going to be like, "Ooh, I don't know," and that's fine. But just because I had that background where, I did that for years and years and years, backwoods stuff, you can make pretty much anything. Now, this stuff, I get it, Doug, where it's you see a huge 30-foot tree that makes an X, or it's
I don't know
how
those.
to I don't know how you explain that.
I don't even look at those. I'm looking at ones that are made up of thousands of interwoven sticks in a very it could be in the middle of a swamp. People would never go, or there could be standing water.
Okay,
that's there every year. It's it's just basically it's a swamp, a shallow swamp. I don't think kids are going to want to play in that crap.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think they're deer blinds is what I think they are. I think why wouldn't a Bigfoot use its environment to block, just for a deer blind? I find them often near deer trail, almost every case near deer trails.
Jonathan from Western Bigfoot Exploration, he has a good point where he's like, I made one like the Marble Mountain footage in like 15 minutes. Yeah, dude, totally. I get it. But Doug, you have a good point as well, where it's like, it doesn't make sense. You get in these super remote areas. Is there a backwoods survivalist?
Still possible.
I don't know. Maybe there's a Les Stroud out there that's randomly, you know, I guess that's maybe possible, but I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's no way to ever. I'm not saying they're anything other than something worth looking at.
Mm-hmm. I definitely have an open mind for sure.
Would you be willing to build one of your really cool stick structures for Legend Science?
Keep in mind, Doug, this is at least 20, 25 years ago. I'd have to do a little refresher course, but I don't know.
I do want to see what goes into one of these complex things.
Yeah.
I've never built one.
My dad used to have he's a great naturalist. He would have these books from like 50s, 60s, and he'd collect them, and it would walk you through exactly how to make, you know, these different types of tree structures and lean-tos and stuff. It's just fascinating stuff.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I'm just looking here for any questions. Oh, Greg Najjar had a question, and he's asked this before, and I keep forgetting to ask. Do you know of anybody that's ever been hospitalized from a Bigfoot injury?
Well, that's a really good question.
Or does anybody in our audience?
I need to think real quick.
If anybody in our audience knows, you can always put it in the comments once the chat's over.
I've never talked to a person that, I haven't. That would fit that. Yeah. That's really, that's a great question, though.
I've talked to 2 people that have been knocked down.
Really?
Violently, including one deer poacher.
Like pushed down?
It was poaching deer.
Wow.
And he got pushed hard to the ground in the pitch darkness. And then I talked to another guy, interviewed the one guy for my show, Mysterious Encounters, and he was actually injured. He was pushed down really hard. Then there was that one YouTube video of a guy that just made the news because he was walking in a park, in a wooded park, you know, it was wooded, and he got shoved down so hard it broke both of his eye sockets and his nose.
Oh, wow.
And he got shoved down. He was a tall guy, too. He was like 6'3". So how do you take a 6'3" guy and shove him downwards? You know, with the kind of force to break his eye sockets.
That is wild stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
You can find that on YouTube. Alex, can you look that up real quick? It'd be awesome if you can find it. We can play it. It's a news story. So shoved to the ground, injured, those kind of keywords. It's quite dramatic.
Out in the woods as well?
He was in a park, you know, but it was wooded. It's a wooded park with trails, you know, walking and jogging trails. I believe it was in California, as I remember.
Yeah, that would be wild.
See if Felix can find it. It's a news story.
What are the keywords? What I put in there?
Yeah, you know, man injured, man shoved to the ground and injured.
Yeah.
Shoved to the ground violently and injured. He was injured severely. And he claimed he saw something big and hairy run off. I mean, it made the mainstream news. It was all over the news for a while. It's kind of like the little boy that was missing and recovered, and he said a bear took care of him. It's kind of like one of those stories.
Yeah, that is a classic one. And there's, I mean, what other way are you going to explain that? An actual bear took care of the kid? There's no way.
Yeah.
Absolutely no way.
I even think Thinker Thunker did a piece on him on his channel too, on this guy. You're not coming up with anything, Alex?
I don't think so.
Did you check just YouTube itself?
Yeah.
Check just regular Google.
Just Google.
This man injured. He had his face was pretty much. I mean, his skull was fractured from it.
Yeah. I don't know.
We're doing this for you, Greg. That's why we're doing it. So that could be one case because he did end up in the hospital. That would be freaky. Can you imagine being in the dark, hunting, and getting shoved to the ground violently? Oof. That would be scary.
It'd be bad news all over the place.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on here. I'm going to look because I found it every time I look for it. I know this is.
Would you ever want to do a show on cryptids or on the paranormal, Jeremiah? Right now, you're very focused on Bigfoot.
So,
do you like that focus, or does it sometimes
I do.
ever get a little...
I really do. I think I'm a type of person where I like to really focus in on something. And I mean, for years, it was all different cryptids, but it was like a very interesting viewpoint. It was like I would talk to Cliff Barrickman one week, but then the next week I would talk to like someone who makes cryptid stuff on Etsy. So it was like very like about cryptids, but it's all over the place. And yeah, it's. I think it. Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit better focusing in on, trying to make it the best, Bigfoot focused thing I can.
You'd rather make it the best show you can than spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, it's good. Really, 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 really know the subject, and it's leading to some cool stuff. Like when you get to be known as the Bigfoot guy, like my local library out of nowhere was like, hey, do you want to do a presentation on Bigfoot for the summer reading program? And I was like, absolutely, yes. So if you're in the Earlham, Iowa area, you can hear me talk about Bigfoot July 28th, which is a Friday at 3 p.m. Central. So I'll be trying to record that, but I'm getting a lot of really cool reports from around Iowa, and there's a lot of stuff I haven't really shared on the podcast yet. So yeah, it'll be a fun chat uncovering stuff about the local Madison County area.
Tate had a question.
How do you feel before, David? Okay.
It's a conspiracy. It's gone. It's like it's just missing. It's really crazy.
So yeah, Tate, that's a good question. I try to do my homework so that I always feel good before the episode. If you feel like kind of nervous, that's never a good sign. Although, it's okay to be a little bit nervous, but the best though is like, let's say you potentially have an episode where you're going into it and you're like, I don't know if this is going to be good. But if you really like have put your work into finding out information, but also like finding out about the area, I would say almost 100% afterwards feel really good about the episode. I'm trying to think. I cannot think of a time where after an episode I've been like, well, that was a total waste of time. Maybe 99%. And no, I'm not going to say any. I just had a thought in my head. Let's say 99.9%. We'll keep it there. But yeah, almost 100%. It's good times, great oldies. So
that bad, huh?
You live and you learn. Way back a few years ago. Yeah.
All right, guys, we've hit our limit. Thank you so much, Jeremiah.
Yeah, this has been great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Big time. We appreciate it. Alex, thank you. I am losing my voice again. Dang it. The root beer didn't help.
I was going to say, yeah, it's that root beer coming back to me.
That's the thing you don't ever want to do is drink a carbonated drink.
No.
On a podcast, but I broke the rule one time.
Sometimes
I didn't burp either. Did I? Did I burp? No.
No,
not that I heard.
But could you imagine if a guy did? That wouldn't be good. But Jeremiah Byron, Bigfoot Society Podcast. It's a great show. Check it out. Watch it. And when do your shows drop, Jeremiah? What days?
Yeah, so I drop shows Monday and Friday, and the audio podcast I release at 1 a.m. Central, so it'll be out there when you go to work. The YouTube version, which will have photos, extra artwork, if the guest has photos of tracks or whatever, that'll be in there. That releases 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, so when most people are kind of hitting that down part of the afternoon, you can catch up premiere, and it's a good time. So
cool.
Yep.
Alrighty, there you go. There's the logo.
Cool. Thank you.
That is the one seeing eye, but it's a Bigfoot eye.
Yeah, so that is from I partner with a graphic artist. His name is Jonathan Dodd, and he is focused on cryptid themed artwork. And I was like, cool, make something that is focuses on how like I talk about Bigfoot, but maybe weird stuff, and just have fun with it. And that's what he came up with. And everyone thinks I'm in the Illuminati now, so it's great.
Yeah,
like, dude, I'm not, man. Did they steal my logo again?
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. With that, good night, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being in chat.
Good night, everyone.
You guys are a wonderful audience, and we will talk soon.
Take care,
See you
everyone.
next week. Bye.
Good night.
I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. I'll pick you up in my 59 Ford. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should start falling, we'll head home again. Everybody else can see where we belong. Oh, ain't no ordinary love we got going on. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I'll pray they never can pull us apart, and I'll wait for the time when we'll be together every day. But I know if ever we'll be led astray, that I'll find my way back home to you again. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait if ever you should be in doubt, and